Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury.
Alex Kozora joins us. Long time friend of Matt Catrillo's. Alex, welcome.
Hey, don't remind me, Steve, of how long I've known Catrillo. I should get some compensation for that.
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
Were you in the wedding party?
I was, yeah. It was a nice wedding. I'm not going to be too mean to Catrillo today. I'll try to be nice on this Friday. Yeah, it was a great wedding.
But you were in the wedding party?
Yeah, I was, right? I was there, Catrillo. It's been a while.
Yes, you were there, yeah.
Okay.
Who was the best man at the wedding?
Well, that was my best friend, Jeff, from high school.
Yeah, good for Jeff. Finally best man at something. Man, I think it's kind of a slap at you, Alex, don't you think?
No, I was okay with it. I was more than okay to allow someone else to be the best man.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, as long as everything's copacetic. Let's get to the Steelers, even though the stories about Catrillo are more entertaining than watching the Steelers play right now. When you look at T.J. Watt being out, what has the domino effect been, and does he play this weekend?
Well, I can answer that second question quicker than the first. Yes, he will play. Watt confirmed that to reporters today. He'll officially be activated off of injured reserve by no later than tomorrow, which will be the deadline for that. So he will play and probably play his usual complement of snaps. The domino effect has been huge. I mean, I can give you just the brass tacks on the numbers. In the one game with T.J. Watt this year, week 1, the Steelers had 7 sacks. In the 7 games without T.J. Watt, they had a combined 8 sacks. I mean, it's a night and day difference there. The 1-6 this season without T.J. Watt, and the domino effect there had been, on third downs, you saw the offensive line, the opposing O-line slide to Cam Hayward to take him away, minimize his impact. Pittsburgh in certain games has had to blitz more often, which leaves their secondary more prone to getting beat and losing matchups. The way Pittsburgh has kind of built their defense the last couple of years has been they actually have blitzed a lot less, and the idea has been rush 4, drop 7 into coverage, still get after the quarterback, protecting yourself in the back end, and that's not been the plan and the recipe this year. The pressure rate has really tanked. The sacks have obviously gone down, and that hasn't allowed the defense to play as chaotic and physical and creating the splash plays they're accustomed to. So Watt's return will be huge. It'll simplify this defense. It'll allow Pittsburgh to use less people to try to compensate for T.J. Watt. They're running so many different personnel groupings and assignments and alignments and things like that to try to make up for the loss of Watt. That will really kind of get Pittsburgh back to what they do best, playing fast, playing physical, and getting after the quarterback.
Could he be on a pitch count?
He said no. I mean, you try telling T.J. Watt to come off the field on a third down, So, I mean, there may be a little element of that given the conditioning aspect, obviously, but I expect Watt to play close to his usual amount of snaps.
All right. So, that's a plus. They'll need that. Offensively, where has Kenny Pickett progressed, and where have there been concerns?
Yeah, that progression, that story's still being written to an extent. I don't think the moment's been too big for Kenny Pickett, which really isn't a shock. He's 24 years old. He was a 5-year guy at Pitt. He's more mature and advanced than a lot of these underclassmen that typically become first-round picks. And so I think he's been a leader. I think he's kind of been forced into that role, although it's natural to him. But this offense is really dying for people to turn towards and look towards and try to get them through this extremely rough patch. In terms of where he has to work on, it's a lot of the things quarterbacks have to deal with, reading things post-snap whenever that picture changes, when safeties rotate and guys and defensive spin coverage, working on pocket presence and not trying to bail and use your legs too much in wrong situations. And obviously, just overall, very nuts and bolts of football. Too many interceptions, 8 picks, only 2 touchdowns. In the 3 games he's played start to finish, they're averaging under 9 points per game. Not going to win many games that way. That's not all on him. There's context to some of those issues. The interceptions aren't all his fault, but bottom line is you got to put more points on the board, got to cut down on the takeaways if you want this offense in the season to try to turn around.
Every once in a while, though, Alex, you'll see a play where it's total inexperience. And I'll go back to the Miami game. Late in the Miami game, he threw an interception, and the safety was an 8-year veteran. absolutely, completely baited him into that throw. And that's just, he's experienced, and the guy throwing it isn't. I mean, that's one, but that was one where you sat back and went, okay, you're a rookie.
100%. And yeah, that was Javon Holland, who's a great safety that certainly Pickett was stuck on that read to Deontay Johnson, threw late, and you find out pretty quickly. In college, you may get away with throwing late. Not in the NFL, not against a safety as good as Javon Holland, and paid the price there. So certainly Pickett has to clean some of that stuff up. And again, that's some of that post-snap picture. I think Holland rotated down on that play from a deep look to coming down underneath to kind of rob and lurk and jump that route. And so being able to adjust to that, probably one of the bigger things I'm watching. And then Pickett just simply has to be better in the red zone. This whole team has to be better in the red zone, but getting points is scarce enough. From a quarterback rating perspective, he is the worst quarterback in football inside the 20. That, of course, has to change.
What does the loss of Chase Claypool through trade mean?
I mean, it hurts him to some degree. Obviously, anytime you take one of your starting receivers off the table, but Chase Claypool did not have a fit in this offense. He was drafted to be an outside, vertical, Z-type receiver who would win with big plays downfield. Really didn't become that guy. He's got the height, weight, speed, but really doesn't separate all that well. Tries to win contested, but didn't really play to his size consistently. Pittsburgh this year bumps him inside to the slot to replace Juju Smith-Schuster. Claypool certainly uncomfortable, unnatural there. Just wasn't working. So, I mean, he was a big guy that made a couple of plays, had a really strong rookie season, but never really was able to build off of that. So I don't know if it hurts this offense too tremendously much. Hopefully there's going to be some emphasis on using the middle of the field more with a guy like Steven Sims, who's going to replace Chase Claypool inside in the slot. Pittsburgh's not done a good job to create yards after catch opportunity for Johnson, for Pickens, for Chase Claypool when he was with Pittsburgh. They've not used the middle of the field enough, and that's really been limiting their offense.
To be frank with you, I thought the Steelers absolutely fleeced the Bears.
Yep,
they got a second.
100%.
They got a second round pick for him, and I would have offered no more than a sixth. I mean, that's me. I would have offered no more than a sixth.
I was shocked. I was shocked to see a second, and apparently that was the market. Green Bay was offering a 2, Chicago offering a 2. I mean, that is a home run deal for Omar Khan and Andy Weidel.
No question. I totally agree, Alex. Okay, why Harris? Why the struggles with Harris? Yeah, I know he had an injury in the preseason. Okay, but that's not the case now. Why is he struggling?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think I don't want to put all the blame on the injury, but it certainly didn't start your sophomore season off on a good note. Plus, he either aggravated that foot injury or something new in week 1 against the Bengals, and that's kind of been underreported. He had a steel plate in his toe or in his shoe for a little bit. That's now been removed. I mean, the offensive line has not done anyone favors either. My guess is, and I'm kind of speculating, trying to get inside Harris's mind here a little bit, he's his own biggest critic. He's very self-aware, and I think he's just trying to press a little too much and do a little too much. You see that Eagles game, there weren't any holes open for him early, a really miserable first half, and then he gets the ball in the second half. He's trying to dance and make the big play every single time. He's got to be able to hit the single, the double occasionally instead of trying to go for the home run. It's not really his style. So he's got to play to his size, play downhill, be more north-south. I think that's just been tough for him because he recognizes how much this run game has struggled, and he's trying to bust off that big run, and it's really hurting him more than it's helping him.
Warren's playing better than he is. Why isn't Warren playing more?
Because he's not the first-round pick, and the goal is to try to get Harris back on track. But Warren has certainly increased his role throughout the season, and we'll see what happens coming out of the bye. There's some rumblings and potential, rumors that Warren may see an increased amount of snaps. I mean, he's taken over as a third-down back, Jalen Warren has, for the last month plus. And so Harris, who was a really strong pass protector last year, hasn't been the case this year. Warren has really shined. But you're right. I think schematically, based on the way the Steelers offense is built right now, Warren is the better fit. He's north-south. He's a big bowling ball. He runs hard. He gets what's there, and he pushes the pile forward. And that's what this offense needs. So Harris either has to play to that style into his frame, or else Warren, I think, will continue to increase his role and presence in this offense.
Just from 30,000 feet in a personal observation, the Steelers are not a fun team to watch. I mean, they're not fun to watch.
No, they're miserable. It's really bad. I mean, there's been bad seasons in the past. 2019 was bad when Ben went down, but that defense was a lot of fun to watch because it was so elite and really tried to carry the load. This offense has just been absolutely miserable.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're not. And this game, boy, you know what? They're going to draw a really good rating for it because the Steelers always draw a good rating. But New Orleans and Pittsburgh, Alex, there are not a lot of great matchups in this league. I mean, I kind of, after the basketball game last night, 5 minutes ago, I turned on the Amazon Prime game last night. And I'm like, I mean, Carolina and Atlanta, it really was not, I don't know, intriguing, fun, anything. I just feel like the league is on the fun scale down this year.
Yeah, I think you've seen a lot more parity. I mean, it's kind of getting to that "it's so bad it's good" kind of metric that we're at with that game last night. Mariota throwing from his back for some reason just kind of sums up their season, his play. Yeah. But yeah, with Pittsburgh, I mean, it's been tough. And what really sums up the Steelers season the most is they were going to play next week on Sunday night against the Bengals. They got flexed out. I mean, when have the Steelers ever been flexed out because Pittsburgh was bad? And then the week after, they play the Colts. So it'll be the Colts-Steelers on Monday night. I mean, talk about not one that's probably going to do tremendously well ratings-wise, although Pittsburgh generally carries well. But, yeah, you've seen a lot of parity this year. You've seen things be closely contested. I mean, the NFC South, the Saints could, in theory, lose this game, drop to 3-7, and still be in the mix to win the NFC South, which really sums up how bad that division is.
I know. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right about that. That's a really good point. Because, I mean, that division's bad.
Yeah, really bad.
I mean, was it Tampa Bay is the leader at, 4-5?
I think so. I mean, the leader in a technical sense. I mean, it's like 2020 when Washington won the East at 7-9. That's kind of the feel this year.
Yeah, and then there was that one year Seattle was 7-9. They ended up getting New Orleans at home, and actually won the game, and then went to Chicago and got blasted. So, Alex, always great to talk with you. Appreciate your time, your analysis very much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.